Hi everybody, this is Erica and I am going to talk about how to get to 50 without wrinkles. And you can do this without anything invasive being done to your skin. That means no injectables, no facelift, no nothing. So I am a licensed esthetician. I am 51 years old myself. I've never had anything done, nothing done in office, nothing. Everything has been done by myself and practicing skincare and things like that. So this is the advice that I would give someone who's younger than me, my age or older. And before anyone jumps in the comments and says, I spot this, I spot that, I'm not claiming my skin is perfect. It's not. Skin is skin, and we're all human, and as we get older, things change. So I'm not claiming to be perfect. I'm just saying that I'm very happy with the way my skin looks at 51, and I like helping people get to that point themselves, that as they're aging, they're feeling like their skin is still in really good condition. So I started very young, and I don't know where I got this from, but I started using SPF in like my early 20s. And I was using like an SPF 15 in like the fall and winter months, and then in the warmer months I would switch it to an SPF 30. Had I been able to do it over again, I would have focused more on the UVA protection that I was getting. I don't burn, but I still need UVB protection, so burn protection. So definitely broad spectrum is the way to go. I have seen bottles that say SPF 50, turned them over and saw they just had burn protection. So you really need to read the back of your SPF bottle and know what you're getting. So I use strictly mineral sunscreens because I have an allergy to chemical sunscreens. So when I look at the bottle, at the back of the bottle, I want to see broad spectrum. I want to see a high zinc oxide level of at least 12%. And basically I learned how much SPF we're supposed to put on our face to get to what's listed on the bottle. And it's a lot more than you would think. And when I see people on YouTube going like this, and then rubbing it in and calling it a day, I don't know if they're doing that for timing purposes or if that's really how they put their SPF on, but I can guarantee you they're not getting the SPF that's on the bottle. Also bring it down your neck and into your kind of like décolleté area, or just, kind of the chest area. So that this is going to show a lot of discoloration and things like that if it's not protected later in life. And then I did not bring my sunscreen when I was young down to my neck, and I do see more signs of skin aging on my neck than I do on my face. So it really does make a difference. And then in my late 20s, I started using retinoids, and I started with retinol, which was really kind of the only thing that I knew of at the time that was being talked about. And I don't know how I instinctively knew it, but I just knew like retinol was very effective with skincare. And so I would apply it all the time, starting in my late 20s. And now, like in my mid 40s, or I think it was in my mid 40s, I moved up to tretinoin. And I acclimated to it very quickly. There was this brief purging phase, but I acclimated to it very quickly, and I think it's because I had been using retinoids for so long. I do not recommend anyone start with tretinoin when they have not been on retinoids before. So retinol is the weakest form of vitamin A that you're going to get. It has to go through 2 conversion processes to be effective in the skin. And then whether that conversion process actually occurs, we don't totally know. So a stronger version of a retinoid, which only is 1 conversion process away from being retinoic acid, is retinaldehyde. And I alternate between using retinaldehyde, which you can get over the counter, and tretinoin, which is available by prescription only. So I like retinaldehyde because it isn't so strong on the skin, but it is very strong, if that makes sense. So, I can just go into the store and get retinaldehyde. I don't have to deal with a prescription or anything like that. So there are more prescription services out there now. I think the last one that I was using was Alloy, that offer, tretinoin and things like that. They have prescribers on their staff. But if I just want to get retinaldehyde, I can just walk into my nearest Ulta and grab the Ordinary's retinaldehyde, which is 2%, very strong. And I'm pretty happy with the results. I don't have to deal with a prescription or anything like that. The criticism tretinoin gets is that because it's so strong, it can cause a lot of skin irritation, things like, just not just the purging, but just like a compromised skin barrier, things like that. So those people are probably people that either just don't take well to tretinoin, or have not been on retinoids for very long and just are wanting to go to the gold standard of anti-aging right away. So you really have to think of skincare as a marathon, not a sprint. It's not something that's going to happen overnight, unless you're getting some in-office procedure that is going to transform your skin. Usually that's a temporary effect, but if you want to get that instant gratification, yeah, you can run into a med spa and do that, but not everyone has the money for it, and not everyone wants to do something invasive or do something in office. So the other thing is vitamin C. Now, the most effective and studied form of vitamin C on the skin is ascorbic acid, and that is kind of the gold standard of vitamin C's. Now, what it can do is it can help boost the protection of the sun, protection from the sun on the skin. And it also has the sort of antioxidant protection from, things like pollution and stress and stuff like that. So the problem with vitamin C in ascorbic acid form is that it is highly unstable. So it needs to have stabilizers like ferulic acid and vitamin E in it. You also want to look for an opaque bottle that is airtight. So one thing that I look for is an opaque bottle. I don't want to be lifting out, the vitamin C, exposing it to air, things like that, and light. It's going to oxidize very quickly. So the one that I like and recommend to people that's pretty affordable is the Timeless vitamin C. That one is probably the one that I got started on with skincare, and I really like it. It's very well studied. The pH is correct, and it's got the stabilizers in it, and the bottle is airtight. So I will not spend on SkinCeuticals, over $100 vitamin C. You just don't need to be spending that kind of money on it. As for the term medical grade, it's really usually much more like a marketing term than a sign that it's going to be much more effective than something that is non-classified as medical grade. So I do like peptides as well. Peptides kind of signal to the skin to kind of do certain, functions in the skin. I like copper peptides. That's the one that I probably has been the most effective on me. I did a prior video about how it really reduced the laxity in the neck area on me, and when I used it, I just really saw a difference in the way my neck skin looked. And before that, I was wearing like turtlenecks and covering it all the time, and I've stopped doing that. So I do like peptides. I buy the Ordinary's multi-peptide serum with copper peptides. That's one that I would recommend as well. So it really is simple. It doesn't have to be expensive. I stay away from any marketing that uses terms like magic or miracle or anything like that. It usually means a much higher price tag and a lot of hype, but not a lot of delivery. So stick with the actives that are actually going to work, and stick with products and brands that are going to deliver at a reasonable price. So don't go into like the $300 range, the $100 range. You're just really ultimately being ripped off. So that's my advice. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them below. And if you got anything out of this video, you can drop a like or something like that. Have a great day. Take care. Bye.